I think about another conversation I had with someone I care about. Again, not someone in here. Just I want to try to make this personal. But yeah, I know I showed the picture. I was like, oh, I just love this photo. But truthfully, not anyone here. So I've heard this. I can't come to church anymore. And I read the evaluation in the email. I asked to talk, but they refuse because it was decided. And here's the thing. I know God leads people to and from his church. And so I understand that people will leave the church for good reasons. Sometimes people move away. Sometimes people feel led to start another ministry. And I think we need to also have an honesty that sometimes unresolved conflict can be the reason. So I think we also need to be honest. I trust God for where he's moving his people. He's the shepherd. We just follow him. He's going to speak to us and we're going to follow. Please don't let unresolved conflict be the reason you move to another church. Sorry, I just get emotional because it's just like, that's the ones that hurt. So for us to face conflict and not just face it, but how do we grow through it as a church? We need to take responsibility. We need to serve each other. And so I want to bring this into a practical conversation. So we looked at the scriptures. Now let's talk practical. So 3 things. First thing, pick our battles. Because unnecessary conflict can be avoided by recognizing not all issues are a problem to solve. Some of them are a tension to manage. So conflict is either solvable or a perpetual challenge for the relationship. So it's kind of like, if you ever had like a bad knee, there's nothing more that you can do. You just got to kind of physical therapy, strengthen muscles around it, but it's just a chronic. I have a injury from football. I did something really immature, and I thought I could tackle someone putting my arm out like this. It ran right through it, and I hyperextended my elbow. I still can feel it. So that's just something I just know. I got to be careful. A broken leg. Now that you can deal with. You can get the appropriate treatment. It'll heal up. And so some things are a problem to solve. Some things are a tension to manage. Now we can solve a problem based on missed expectations or unmet needs because that's more situational. But again, we can't change someone's personality. We can't change someone's family background. And those things, our personality, our family background shapes our values. And those values become learned habits that if they're really deep values, they can be real deeply entrenched. And I think some of those are really difficult and require professional counseling, which if you're ever in a fight, not the time to bring that up. It's a significant conversation. So yeah, it's hard. And so let's pick our battles and address the situations that create conflict by talking through those situational missed expectations, situational unmet needs. And so when I think about this, I think about a relationship to money, and I think about my family. So for me, the value of money is often security. For Lagaya, it's being generous and gift giving. And so when we've come together as a family, that was going to take a lot of work. And so we started with the budget, we worked it through, and we talked through our values, and we learned that, okay, I'm still going to approach money that way. She's going to approach money that way. But how can we appreciate each other and the difference of how we become something new together? And then how can we change our behaviors that maybe aren't helpful? Because sometimes it's good to have a budget and to save, but sometimes it's good to just spend. And Lagaya, you heard it here. So I've said it in front of everybody. Now, as we think about that in the church, did you know that 98% of church conflict arises from, there's a study that was done where that number came out. I just thought it was amazing to me. 98% of church conflict arises from interpersonal interactions which can be addressed. Here are some of the more common reasons. I think they have these on page 57. People had conflict that resulted from feeling alone or tired, unresponsive leadership, differences in opinion, feeling devalued, carrying stress, spontaneous decision-making, lack of communication. So when I think about those things, man, what great conversations to have. And so that's why they're listed there, is just to draw this out that, if we can address them, talk through them, that would be so healthy and so helpful for me. Or talk to Carl, talk to Sam, talk to people in our leadership, because we're a team. And I believe that we can work through things because of what Christ has done. This is really a gospel conversation that we're talking about. It's based on what he's done and his forgiveness for us. And so we can, ultimately, if there's mistakes that happen, we can work through those things. So let's pick our battles. Let's not allow unnecessary conflict to create division. Second thing, let's stop conflict before it starts. Did you know, this is from Gottman. He does some analysis of relationships, and he found in marriage relationships specifically, but it applies to relationships in general, 96% of the outcome in conflict is based upon the first 3 minutes. Think about that. How many people have had an argument with their spouse where you realize that you're arguing about the argument? And it's just like, what are we even talking about? It's often because there's something that happened in the first 3 minutes and then it just goes off. Man, think about how practical this is. Just the first 3 minutes. So stop the stop the conflict before it starts, because a bad start to a conversation will almost always create a fight that could have been avoided by a softer start. So here's 4 habits that can dramatically help. They're on page 58. I'm just going to kind of walk through. Okay, so start strong in a difficult conversation. So if you're ever in a conversation with someone, just think of these in the back of your mind. Just the first 3 minutes. Don't blame others. That does not help in an argument. Try to move from you statements to I statements. Describe what's happening, but do not evaluate their behavior yet. I mean, you can get there, but in the beginning when there's a lot of emotion. And if you just do number 4, please avoid always and never statements. It's almost always never helpful. So just, oh man, I'm glad we can laugh about this. So start strong. Second thing is, don't spiral a conversation out of control. So I found this interesting. The Gottman Institute talked about the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse: criticism, contempt, defensiveness, and stonewalling, all of which my wife and I can excel at. So how it starts, something happened and we misunderstood each other. And so I'll want to fix it because I hate being alone. That's a need for me. And so I'll try to talk my way out of it. She needs space to think about it. And just so you know, she's comfortable with me talking about this. We've talked about this openly before, so you can let her know that we got to revisit this again with our church. It's a fun story. So we get in a fight. It starts out with, me trying to be close. So I'll start talking to her. She'll need space. And then I'll start to get critical, and which is an attack. And criticism is not helpful in conflict. It's a cancer. And then the worst is when you show contempt. Contempt means that you're talking down. Just a little side trivia. Gottman could figure out most marriages if they not continue really quickly if they had any contempt in the relationship. Contempt kills. And so it's proud. Oh man, it's not good. It's talking down, it's name calling, eye rolling with disgust, assuming the moral high ground. Man, how much of this is going on in our culture? Now, those are the obvious ones. So then, as I'm doing that and Lagaya wants space, she'll get defensive. And which is when you're just kind of attacking someone that's not attacking you back. That escalates the argument. You don't back down, you imply the other person is wrong. Stonewalling is the worst for someone like me that wants to be close. Stonewalling is where you just tune them out. And it's just like you're talking to someone that's not responding. So these things I would say are unacceptable. They will not build a healthy community at all. Don't allow defensiveness. Don't allow stonewalling. Those are kind of the unseen ones. And I really appreciate Lagaya and the work that we've done to really address this. So we don't allow this in our home. Unfortunately, it does happen, but again, that's why it's built on forgiveness. So just being transparent with you about our marriage, because this is family, right? So we want to not spiral the conversation. It's unhealthy. The third thing that we want to do is stop when you're flooded. Now, the way that our mind works, when you are in conflict, it says it flips the lid. So the rational part of your brain goes away, and all you hit is the emotions. And so literally, there's nothing you can do. You're overwhelmed. And so what you need to do is take a break. Now, it says, don't let the sun set on your anger. The idea there, the truth there is don't just never talk about it. So if you take a break, agree on working it out and come back to it. So take a break, feel the feels. When you calm down, return. And so Lagana and I will often say, hey, 30 minutes, let's talk. And I'll just visit it in 30 minutes, and then we'll see where we're at.
Yeah, that's the difference between stonewalling and taking a break. Because stonewalling is you just cut it off. We're not talking about this.
You shut down.
And you're never coming back.
Yeah.
Whereas stopping when you're flooding, you say, let's take a break for a little bit. And for somebody like Phil or me too, it's important for us to know, how about in an hour or tomorrow we're going to revisit it, because we'll go nuts if it's just left like that.
So hard. Yeah. And so I'd rather know when we're going to talk about it. And it's okay to sleep on it. Like, just another pro tip, arguments at 11 midnight usually don't end well. So just sleep on it, Stop when you get flooded. And then the last one is halt. If you're hungry, angry, lonely, or tired, parents, you're welcome. This one will help kids. We'll talk to our kids all the time. Are you hungry? Yeah. Okay, go eat something, then we'll talk. A lot of times, seriously, probably like 90%. Oh, I feel so much better. Feeling lonely, tired, all these things. So stop before it starts. These things can be really helpful for us. And remember that 96% rule. 96% of the outcome is based in the first 3 minutes. Okay, last thing, and then we'll reflect, and then we'll have some time just to linger as a church. Thanks for hanging with me in this. This is just real practical things that I think could really transform the way we function as a church. But this applies at your home. This applies at work. These are just really good, biblically grounded truths with application that can be helpful. So the last one is to be prepared when conflict will come. When you think about football, I used to play football. That's actually me with hair, 42, looking all tough. Yeah, college football is awesome. Division III, so don't be too impressed. So, but man, when you think about football, you just expect conflict, right? And for some reason, some of us don't like it or just avoid it or whatever. And we just aren't prepared for conflict when it comes. Romans 12:18, whenever possible. So think about that. Whenever possible, be at peace with all men and women. So think about that. We want to be intentional. And so conflict will come. It's best to be prepared so we can work through it so that whenever possible, we can be at peace. So here's 4 steps that dramatically helped us in our marriage that I think, again, as we think about how do we build a healthy family, church family, these are things our family follows. We actually practice this so much when our kids were in elementary school. We've had teachers come and be like, how did your kids learn these things? It's like, oh, a lot of marriage counseling. So it's good. So 4 things that we do. Now, listen, you can do other things, and Lagana have changed over the years, but these are really foundational. And so empathy, defining reality, you could call it confession, apologizing, or acknowledging, because sometimes things are just foolish. And then repair, or you could say repentance. So empathy, just again, especially if there's a lot of emotions involved, empathy will help calm the relationship down. And now that we do it so much, that when we hear each other empathizing, it's like a clue, like we're trying to turn towards each other. And again, that doesn't agree with maybe something that was not okay. It's just agreeing, or it's identifying with your emotion. So feel the feels, define reality, give each person a chance to explain what happened. Don't interrupt. Like, even give it a time. Like, hey, you got the floor, 5 minutes, and then we'll pause. Go. And for someone like me that likes to talk through it, I'll take notes just to help me think, so I don't interrupt. But you want to give each person a chance to talk. And use situational language. Like, in this situation, when you did this, I felt this. Like, this is what happened. And then after you get it out on the table, pray. And you're praying this time of reconciliation, working through it. God, what do I need to own? What did I do? Were you inconsiderate? Were you irritable? Were you rude? Were you proud? Again, that communal confession does a lot for healing. But apologize, acknowledge it, and then repair. This is so huge. We didn't do this early on, and then we just keep repeating the cycle. This is saying, what are we going to do different next time? And try to be specific, because it's helpful to work on it together. Now, one other thing to note is, just when you're thinking about communication, there's intent and impact is really good language to use. And I think it just kind of speaks to that giving and receiving love. But when someone communicates, they can have an intent for something. I do this all the time. I intend to communicate something, but the impact can be different. And so just to clarify that, it's going to seek to understand by just using this kind of language. And so what's one thing you can do to really change the conversation in our church? What's one thing that you can do to serve our church and how we address conflict? And I encourage you, start to practice this at home. Like the way that Paul talked about being filled by the Spirit, serving, worshiping, and giving thanks. And then he applies it into the family relation. And then he's like, oh, I'm actually talking about the church. Like, I think the family is such a helpful way to practice these things. And then we can overflow at church, and then overflow in our neighbor's relationship. And so change your relationship by practicing forgiveness, picking your battles, stopping the conflict before it starts, coming prepared, having an approach to it. Now, I'll say I have a plan and I practice it, whether I agree on it with someone. It just helps me to kind of work towards a solution that's in Christ. But it's okay if not everyone empathizes. You don't have to correct that. Just having some kind of approach. Every church is made up of broken people. So every church is going to have conflict. We need to work on this together in relationship to God and each other. And so we're entrusting ourselves to Jesus, who's perfect. Think about that. It's just amazing that our relationship with a perfect God that we can look to, that gets it right. And he's going to help us deal with our sin by practicing forgiveness, seeking peace whenever possible. And so let's be intentional with our words. Let's be life-giving with our words, encouraging one another, listening to one another. Let's think about how conflict can build closeness. Let's practice forgiveness. And remember, we'll change the conversation, we'll change the relationship. And I believe that God's going to use tonight's message as a way to help us in a practical way. So thank you so much for listening. It's a gift to me that you take the time I know you guys have full schedules, but you're showing a desire and a commitment to want to deepen relationships at our church. That's what this time is going to do. And so I'm really thankful for the effort that you're putting in this. Thank you. Every one of us contributes to the health of our community, and you're investing in our church. And so I'm just grateful. Let's just take a quiet minute just to let this settle, and then we'll finish a little bit earlier tonight. But I'd encourage you also just linger, just hang out. Let's connect.